Welcome back, Fantasy Fiction Fanatics. It's great to see you again, and I hope you're doing well. Alright, today we're going to do a new class on the next set of chapters of Doom of the Darksword, chapters 13 through 5. Again, I know that's kind of a weird way that they structure their chapter numbers, but once it reaches the second book or second part, then it goes back to chapter 1, so it is chapters 13 through chapter 5. Please let me know if you're enjoying the book so far, and I'd love to hear all your thoughts and opinions about the characters and events that are going on. Hopefully you are enjoying it. I know this section of the chapters is not really quite as rich in events as the previous ones. I feel like not too much progresses at this point. Even though it is important, it seems a little bit more of a setup-y type time. It's not really adventure filled or a lot of new things happening. So let's go ahead and jump right into today's discussion, and if you like today's discussion, please give me a like as well as subscribe if you are not already part of the Fantasy Fiction Fanatics community. We would love to have you join and to talk about fantasy together some more in the future. Alright, let's go ahead and get going with our recap. So we started off kind of in the middle of something already happening. Gerald was kind of harsh with Joram and kind of left him to his thoughts on everything he talked about. And Joram does not come back to the camp for a long time, hours and hours, overnight even. And Saryan is worried about him, but he does finally come back, and he decides that he is going to agree to be trained by Gerald for a week, and to kind of, after going to Marilyn, to kind of come back and be part of Shirakan instead. So when that week is over, that training is over, they do their week, they're deciding to go their separate ways, at least temporarily, and the group goes over the plan of what their disguise is going to be when they get to Marilyn to sneak in to the capital, as well as kind of what their overall plan is in general for the future. And then, meanwhile, we have this moment of Bishop Vanya, who is very upset that things are not going as he had hoped, is not going his way, and he has a conversation with Prince Xavier, I think it's Xavier, and it's the Emperor's brother, and he's trying to talk to Bishop Vanya and trying to get to where they can work together, and Bishop Vanya kind of stonewalls him, and that's not going good for Prince Xavier, but we'll see where things go for that. Then we kind of transition to Marilyn, and the group does enter the city, and that's when Simkin is almost arrested. And it's not going as well as they'd hoped. Luckily, Simkin can turn into inanimate objects and ropes in this nice girl, Gwendolyn, into helping get everything worked out and release them from the authorities. So Gwendolyn takes them to her home, and she's about Joram's age. So she's still young, lives at home with her parents, and her parents do decide to house them, even though it's kind of a suspicious situation. While they are there, Simkin ends up calling upon the Emperor to help fix this problem that he's having of being detained and, wanted to be arrested. And the Emperor visits the home, where Simkin introduces him to everybody in his group, including Joram. So it's kind of ending on this moment of what's going to happen next, just because the Emperor does seem to recognize who Joram is. So we've got some new developments kind of coming, I think, but right now we're just kind of setting up the characters to be in this new position to move forward from here. So hopefully you, again, are still enjoying it and are ready to talk about this section, even if it's not quite as detailed and exciting as some of our other moments in the books. First, let's go ahead and talk about Joram, because I think Joram has really made some progress as a character in this book as a whole, and in this section of chapters specifically. Joram does seem to be, at least momentarily, we're not going to assume that this is going to be forever because, Joram can backtrack a bit. But it actually seems like at this point, Joram is evolving and making progress as a person, which is pretty amazing because he is very hard-headed and he does not like to change very easily. He is apologizing and appreciating others, which is nuts, especially to Saryan. He is more understanding that his actions do have effects for other people and for the world as a whole in a way. So he is really starting to understand that the world is bigger than just him and his little bubble and how he sees things. He's even being reflective. He took time to think about what Gerald said to him. He came back and made a new decision. He is being reflective when Saryan's talking to him about Gwendolyn and what kind of relationship they can have. Though he might not actually follow advice from others, he is reflecting on them and not just getting angry when something is said that he doesn't like. He is listening to others again as well, like Saryan is talking about, how he likes Gwendolyn and he wants to make a relationship with her, and he says things that are not positive towards that end goal, and Saryan or Joram takes it in and absorbs it, listens to what he says. Again, that doesn't mean that he's going to follow his advice. We have yet to see exactly about that. But he is actually listening and retaining and thinking about what someone is saying instead of just brushing it off and charging ahead or being stubborn to the point of hard-headedness. He's also, momentarily at least, not driven by his mom's influence. He is not driven by the fact that he feels entitled to what his mother said that should be his. So he's more driven by his own feelings, his own thoughts, his own personal drive than his mother's drive for him. So I think there is real potential that this is a turning point for Joram as a person, though we'll see if this continues or what change this will bring by the end of his changing session. I don't know if that's the word I was looking for, but it's the word I came up with here. Something else that I think is super interesting to find out is the narration is really pointing out how well Joram is fitting into Marilyn. He just seems like he fits there. He just comes in, knows nothing really about being a noble person or high society, but he just carries himself and presents himself in a more upper class way. That he is immediately fits into this society and into this place. I do like that he is being affected by other people. Originally, he's affected by Gerald and what Gerald said to him and taking in the changes that he needs to make in his life. And now Gwendolyn is also affecting him. He is in love, or at least he thinks he's in love. The question is it real love or is it just a crush or the first girl his age that he's actually interacted with? So maybe this shouldn't be taken as seriously as it's being made out to be, or maybe it should. But both of them do seem to be kind of this naive first love stage. And that is affecting him, is affecting his goals, because now they have changed to be driven by getting Gwendolyn to be his instead of just what he feels he is owed in terms of being a royal person or being somebody of noble birth. So it is interesting that his goals are now shifting. This whole time we've been on the track of we're going to Marilyn, we're gaining my fortune, we're gaining my nobility, we're gaining my place in society and notoriety, to now being oh, now I'm in love and I want Gwen to be mine. And that is now shifting all of his goals and all of his things over to a new place. He still, though, has room to grow in the fact that he doesn't recognize that Saryan actually loves him and cares about him. He truly feels like Saryan is just there because he has to be, or, he feels sorry or something. He doesn't really get that Sarian really cares about him, and I'm not sure how soon or how much he'll be able to grasp that concept. That's not something that is something he's familiar with. So I do see we have some points where he's still the same, we have some points where he's changing, and we have some points where we're going to see where new emotions take him. So, very big turning point for Joram at this point. We're really in kind of a loose moment where we're going to see actually how these things affect him and where his new personality or his new sense of self is going to end up at. And we'll find out whether it's going to be a good change or whether we're going to be wishing that our Joram was back to the way he was before. Next, let's go ahead and talk about Gwendolyn. So Gwendolyn is a very sudden new character. It wasn't like we were setting up to having a new character. She was just suddenly, poof, we were in front of her. We had a whole chapter where we were kind of talking about her and knowing a little bit more about her. And it was just a very much sudden, out of the blue character that just popped up. She's very much a new kind of character that we haven't experienced before. She's very innocent, a very sheltered girl. Her parents are not quite full upper class, but they're also not really the lower class. They're kind of on the cusp of being the big nobility, but they're definitely not hurting for money. They're not in the slums. They're in Maryland, which is a very important place, and they're up in the upper portion of it. So they have very good standing in this society, and they have really sheltered and grown up, had Gwendolyn grow up in that kind of culture and that kind of setting. So Joram finds her very intriguing and is very drawn to her. And she is very drawn to him, and they're the exact opposite of each other. The exact opposite. There's Joram, who is this dark, dreary, cursed, tortured individual who is hard-headed and knows a lot about the harshness of the world. And then we've got Gwendolyn, who's this bright, cheery, really sweet girl who just doesn't understand harshness of life. She's never had to do anything too out of her comfort zone. She's never had to struggle. She's not even used to having struggle around her, like adjacent, struggle adjacent. She is okay a little bit with bending the rules and getting her hands a little bit dirty in like the terms that are like not too high of risk, just in that like tiptoeing into the riskiness. But for the most part, she's very innocent, never ever had really any difficulties in her life. And they are drawn to each other. It's for maybe it's an opposites attract thing for her. Maybe it's the kind of like the bad, gloomy guy who's kind of attracting her that she's never experienced before, so it's new. And maybe Joram is very attracted to the fact that she is so bright and sunny and cheerful, and he's never had anybody who's like that. So we'll see how that turns out. But I do think it's very interesting that she is so drawn to him just from this first few interactions. She is definitely, though, a very flirty person. She is very flirty, likes the game of kind of playing that cat and mouse, of being that cheekiness with guys. Obviously, it's not meant to be serious, per se, but she definitely likes getting men's attraction and attention, which she is right now on the course of wanting Joram's attraction. So she does have that little bit of that sense to her, and that flirtiness. But I can see her being headstrong and really, truly, like, putting her foot down when she wants something, like, a little bit like Joram does. But I can see her being very one-track set mind. We haven't really experienced that at this point, but I can see her becoming like that if her parents opposed her getting with Joram, if that's what she truly wanted. So She, though, at the same time, doesn't really know what she's getting into. She doesn't understand the fact that he is completely and utterly dead without any magic at all. And we're going to see how that affects her if she does learn. And maybe she'll learn sooner, maybe she'll learn later. But I do think that will affect her. I really, truly do feel like that will affect her if she learns that. So we don't know too much about her yet. We are still just finding out about her. We're still being introduced to her, but this is a sudden new change that has been dropped into our story because she is upending all plans, all of them, now that Joram is interested in her and is more interested in her than his previous goals. So she's really pushing us off track here, and we're going to see where things go now that she is involved. What do you think? Do you like Gwendolyn? I'd be interested to know. And do you think she'll be good for Joram? Do you think Joram will be good for her? We're gonna find out. All right, now last but not least, let's go ahead and talk about the plot progression of this book and kind of the series, of what's happening so far. Because the plot of book 1 has really, or the plot of now has really expanded since the plot of book 1. There have been several lines of events, I guess you could say, that all matter, or all different points that we're at. They're all converging at some point. Not yet, but they will converge at some point. Which we didn't really have before. Book 1, we really had Saryan / Bishop Vanya was kind of connected. And we had Joram's kind of mainly these two plot points. And they finally converged at the end of book 1, or towards the end of book 1. Now, here in book 2, we've got Joram and his group, that has Saryan, Simpkin, all that jazz. We've got Gwendolyn, who is now merging with them, but originally we had a couple chapters where it was mostly her, but she's joining up now. We're not going to say for sure she's fully joining them, but it does seem like they are kind of converging at this point. We've got Bishop Vanya, who's trying to do his own thing. We've got the Duke Saroth, because at one point we have the Duke Saroth having their own meeting about what's going on and potentially them getting involved. And then we have Prince Gerald, who came in, merged a little bit with Joram, and now they're going on their own path. We haven't really seen from him yet, so we don't know if we're going to go back to their path and have that be a full-fledged path that we see narration from without Joram. But we do know that he is going to be a major player that's going to come back around, since we've already established him as being an ally to Joram. So we've got several different things going on at the same time here that are going to eventually all meet, or at least affect each other in some way. We have more characters now than we did before. Before in book 1, we mostly had Joram, Saryan, Bishop Vanya, Simpkin, and kind of Mosiah as our major characters. Now we've added Gerald, we've added Gwen, we've potentially added the Emperor, because the Emperor is now involved with knowing who Joram is, of knowing Joram. We've got Gwendolyn's parents, which I don't think are going to be huge characters, but we've added them, knowing a little bit more about them, and at this point we are characters are staying with them, so they might be more important than we think. But either way, we've added some more characters that are going to be important to the plot and important to affecting how the story goes. So our plot progression is really moving along at this point. We've really been going through on this. Now, as far as tension and direction of this plot that we have been expanding and kind of figuring out anew at this point, our goals are getting more complicated. Joram's goal is getting more complicated in the fact that Joram was originally just wanting to get to Marilyn and wanted to claim what was taken from him, wanted to get what he was deserved. Now we've got the fact that he's kind of merging with Gerald and is going to plan to eventually go to Shirakin. We've got that he's now wanting to be with Gwendolyn. We don't know how those two different goals are going to, affect each other or be inefficient for each other. We've got Bishop Vanya's goals, which we still don't really know exactly what his plan is. It's still a little bit of a mystery, and it's still kind of hard to figure out exactly what's going on with him. But we've got those goals that are now kind of being messed up because he's not able to control everything that he had hoped to. We've got Simkin, who's just always everywhere. Like, everything that we're going through, Simkin will just throw a wrench into it and be like, sorry, but we're going this way. So we've got a lot more unknowns. We've got a lot more complexity. We've got a lot more going on than we did when we started off. So we are slowly building up, adding more to this story, and really kind of snowballing now into some new things. So I think it'll be interesting to see where we go from here. Let me know what you think about this plot progression that we've gotten. Do you feel like there's been more building? Do you like where we're going? Do you have any thoughts about where we're going to go next? I'd just love to hear your thoughts and opinions on this. Last but not least, let's do the nitty gritty. So I have 3 things to go over for the nitty gritty just to keep in mind, or to kind of talk about a little bit of specific things. The first one is that Simkin purposefully wanted the Emperor to meet Joram because I think he knew that the Emperor would recognize him. And he did recognize him immediately. So that might throw a wrench into our plans as well. We're gonna find out exactly what's going on about that. But already not what we're expecting here. Second thing is that this world is kind of weird. I just wanted to talk about this for a second. Is why are there shoes that are like animals? Seriously, why are shoes animals? Like, animals are being turned into shoes. What kind of world is this? Why would anybody want to wear a live animal as a shoe? Even if they're not even using it to walk. I don't understand. I don't understand. Don't get it. No clue. Just think that's weird. Does anybody else think that's weird? I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I just thought that was weird. Who thinks of that? Who decides they're going to put birds on their feet? I mean, I know in our society we have to, like, use animals to make shoes at some point. Now less than times in the past. And some people like to, look like their shoes are made out of animal skins or something like that. But live animals? Live. I don't want a live snake on my foot, that's for sure. Nope. So I just thought that was very weird. I don't know, just wanted to share that with you. And last but not least, the anniversary of Joram's death is coming. So I think that is going to be an interesting thing when we experience that, which might be in the next set of chapters. So, alright, that is all I wished to say about all that, about this set of chapters. Please let me know your thoughts and your feelings about anything that happened, anything that has happened, anything you want to discuss more on. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Now, before we go ahead and close everything out, let's just go over our trivia question. The last trivia question on the blog was asking, in the Harry Potter series, is it true or false that Luna Lovegood is a Ravenclaw? And the answer is true. She is a Ravenclaw. And congratulations to Dan, Boris, and Brendan for getting it right. And thank you to everybody who participated. If you yourself want to join the trivia question, go ahead over to fantasyfictionfanatics.net. It'll be on the right-hand side. You'll just scroll down just a little bit, and it'll be there for you to answer. While you're over there, it'd be great if you checked out my content. I've got book reviews, book recommendations. I've got different thoughts about fantasy and reading and stuff like that over there. So if you want more content from me, that is an excellent place to go to get it. And hopefully you enjoy whatever you have find and read over there. Let me know if there's anything that you wish for me to put out either on the channel or on the blog. If you would like to reach out to me and down below is not your best place, that's fine, no worries. You can go ahead and check me out on social media. I do have Facebook, which is /fantasyfiction1. I've got Twitter, which is Fantasy Fiction 1. And there is also Instagram, which is at Fantasy Fiction 1. So any of those places you can direct message me. You can also get updates and things like that from me there. So hopefully you'll check it out and see what's going on those and give me a follow. That'd be great. That way you can get updates on the blog, the channel, any other things that I have or announcements all in one place, and be able to see what's going on with Fantasy Fiction Fanatics. Or, in my opinion, this might be the best place. Head over to the Discord. The link will be down below for you to join, because over there is not only me that you can direct message, not only updates on content over there, but also your fellow fanatics who can talk about fantasy with you, whether stuff on this channel or just fun things, as well as non-fantasy related things. We just enjoy talking, having a good time over there, and there's several people already hanging out there for you to talk with and enjoy. So hopefully you'll join us there. And I think that's it for me today. So I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.